acknowledgement. The land on which our church is built is part of the ancestral homeland of the Nimifu, the people, and mistakenly called the Nez Perce or Church Nez by French-speaking Catholic traders. We acknowledge that this land is held in sacred kinship since time immemorial. The land and its peoples suffered immeasurable traumas brought by Euro-American society, and we are working with its resilient peoples to show respect and contribute to the healing and nurturing of this because precious land of all its people. So we're hoping that folks joining us via Zoom have a chalice or a candle to light and something to light it with. And use the device for the chalice to bless it. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to feast and speak to joy. Please be seated. So, as so often happens in worship planning, I took on this service, the Stories of the Future, with one idea in mind, and then by the end found myself somewhere else entirely and pushing into the title. See, I was going to plan this service based around collectively imagining a better future, something that we could kind of look towards to get past all the doom and gloom of the present that we're stuck in, give us something to hope for, something to work toward. Basically, I wanted us to lay the groundwork for our very own utopia, spelled with two U's, naturally. However, as I mulled it over, I kept coming back to the idea of progress and the possibility that pursuing future happiness and future utopias and a better someday, maybe that's what keeps us, in part, from finding joy and wholeness and satisfaction right here and now. To summarize the Buddha's Four Noble Truths, we suffer because we want things to be different from the way they are. And if we just stop wanting that, accepted them, we can put an end to our suffering. So if I did have a do-over, I'd call this service The Illusions of Progress. Though I suppose I should accept the title as it is and put an end to my suffering. And that's not to say that we shouldn't have goals or that we shouldn't try to make the world better. Of course, we should. Nor is it to dismiss the real benefits of technological progress or to deny the need for social progress. Progress in and of itself is not a bad thing. But when we treat it as our source of purpose and meaning and commit ourselves thereby to lives of struggle, well, we put our best days always out of reach. They're in the indeterminate future that we have to work and struggle to attain instead of being here and now. By venerating this idea of progress as something sacred, we end up replacing our happiness with the pursuit of happiness. So maybe it's time to find our better days here and now. And instead of putting off hopes and dreams for someday, maybe it's time to consider the possibility that today is someday. So with that in mind, please join me now in singing our opening hymn. It's number 1007 in the Teal hymnal. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Okay, we're going to invite Mary Jo forward for our month of Sundays right before we engage in the practice of generosity.
I hope this works. I hope this works for me. I'd like to invite Erin Colombo and Megan Guido to come on up. They're representing the Laytalk Recovery Center, and Megan is the executive director of the Whitman Community Center, which is working with late LRC. So we made a collection for them way back in July and are just now getting it to them. And the check that I have is not 100% correct, but it's $1,658.35. And I know we have more money coming, which I will drop it off. Would you like to say a few words?
Well, good morning. Can you hear me? Now you can. I'm short, so I'll just tiptoe. Thank you, Mary Jo, and thank you for your generosity. I am Megan Guido. I'm the new director of Whitman Recovery Community Center in Pullman, Washington, that just opened May 30th. We are part of Laytalk Recovery Center, which Erin is with. So we are so grateful for this generous donation. As a nonprofit, we are always looking for that generosity from folks and that support. So we exist to help people who are in recovery from substance use and mental health challenges. So that's it in a nutshell. The idea is that it's peer run. So folks who have lived experience with this are helping other people who are new to recovery or are sober curious. So that's essentially what we do. We have a peer support specialist on staff who does have lived experience, who does coaching for folks, and we are slowly growing over in Pullman. I'm just thrilled to be part of it. It's something that we needed, and so appreciative of Daryl Keim and the work that the Laytalk Recovery Center has done for the last 10 years has really paved the path for us. And we're grateful to have their history and their support as we set off on this journey. So thank you again.
Hi, I'm Erin, and I just want to answer the question, where does your money go? If you go to our Laytalk Recovery Community Facebook page and follow it, you will see all the events that go on. We have a special event, I think, almost every month. A couple months ago, a stylist, a hairstylist, came up to me and said, I want to give free haircuts to school-aged children who don't have money, their families don't have money to give them haircuts. We were able to reserve a room at the 1912 Center. We were able to provide snacks and fun treats for back to school, and we gave 48 children free haircuts. And it was so fun. I never have had so much fun sweeping up hair. Just see the kids' faces light up with their new hairdos. And I want to thank Summer because she was instrumental in getting the flyers out, part of the summer's lunch program, and we got lots of kids from that program. In a couple weeks, on the 13th of September, we're having our annual Latah Recovery Festival, and it is our 10-year anniversary, and we invite you to come. Megan will be there. It is the weekend of the fair, but we're giving out free lunch, free entertainment, and raffle prizes from local businesses, and we really would love to see you there. And part of your money goes towards that event. So thank you very much.
Now let's take a moment to engage in the practice of generosity together. For those of you able to make a financial contribution, the logistics are on your screen. We typically give away all of the cash from our Sunday offering to local charities whose missions align with our values, a program called the Month of Sundays. Because this is the 5th Sunday in August, today's collection will go to fund a Unitarian Universalist Service Committee project to deliver food and medicine to Palestinians in Gaza. To donate, please indicate Month of Sundays on your check or from the online drop-down menu. And in the spirit of love and for the continuing work of this church, we will now take some time to practice generosity together. Now is the time in the service when we lift up our joys and sorrows. The sharing of joys and sorrows is a sacred ritual in our community, a time to briefly acknowledge truly significant life events, either by submitting them in advance, typing them in the chat, or coming forward and sharing in person. We're going to take a moment now to practice meditation. Today it will be a guided meditation that I will be guiding you through. So take a moment to get comfortable in your seat. Place your feet on the ground, let your hands rest gently in your lap. And if you would like, you can close your eyes or simply soften your gaze. Let's begin with a deep breath in through the nose and slowly let it out. One more time, breathing in and out. Feel your shoulders soften. Feel the chair beneath you. Let yourself arrive right here. Notice your breathing just as it is. No need to make it slower or deeper. Just notice the gentle rhythm, like the rise and fall of a quiet tide. Each breath is a reminder you are alive right now. This moment doesn't need to be earned or deserved. It is already here, waiting for you. Now in your mind's eye, picture yourself in a garden. Not a perfect garden, but one that's real, living, and a little wild. Some flowers are in full bloom. Some are still buds, waiting. Some vegetables or fruit are done for the season, vines or branches bare. Some are green and growing, not even close to ripe. There are patches of sunlight, a few scattered leaves, maybe even a spot that's a bit messy. There are bees, there are earthworms. This is your life as it is today. Unfinished, unfolding, and already full of color, texture, fragrance, and possibility. Take a slow walk through this garden. Look closely. What beauty is here already, even if small? Maybe it's a single flower, a patch of warm earth, the way the light catches a leaf or shines on the shape of an unripe green tomato. Pause here for a moment and let that simple beauty meet you. And as you walk, you notice you are holding a small slip of paper. On it are the words, "Someday when blank," and there's some word that you'll fill in there. "Someday when, then I'll feel joy." Notice what's said on your personal piece of paper, what you've been waiting for, what you've been telling yourself must happen before you can fully live, or breathe, or rest, or smile. Someday when, then I'll feel joy. Now kneel down in this garden and place that paper gently on the soil. Feel the breeze touch it, the sunlight warm it. Watch as it begins to dissolve, sinking into the ground. You don't need to wait for someday. Joy is not out there. It is a seed already planted, already sprouting beneath your feet. Take a breath in and ask yourself, what small joy is available to me right now? The sound of a kind voice nearby, the simple warmth of this room, the quiet rhythm of my own heart. Let that small joy rest in your chest as you breathe in. Let it grow just a little with each breath. And now, as we come to a close, allow this image to fade, taking one more deep, gentle breath in, and slowly let it go. And if you'd like, bring the hint of a smile to your face, just enough to feel. And when you're ready, open your eyes, carrying the seed of joy into the rest of your day, not waiting for someday, but living it now.
So in the interest of time, I'm going to skip the reading I was planning on doing, and we're going to move right to our gift of music, which is going to be a fun one today. So because we're talking about stories of the future, I wanted to have a song about time, and what better than the song Name Time by Pink Floyd. So Sam was very excited about this one. I think he mentioned seeing just how loud we can get these speakers, so be prepared. Take it away, Sam. I think we've confirmed those speakers get pretty loud. Can y'all still hear me? Thank you, Sam. That was awesome. Okay, so here is my theory about progress. Prior to the Enlightenment and the scientific revolution, people more or less lived in an eternal present. Time was conceived of as largely cyclical. Each year's seasons passed like the last. Each new generation lived more or less like the one before them. The meaning of their lives derived not from pursuing a better future, but from their sense of connection to a sacred eternal, or God, as they would probably have said. And this is how they made peace with their nasty, brutish, and short lives. Now, in his book, The Coming Golden Age, the author Gunther Stent notes that the idea that the world should get better, that idea is barely 200 years old. The previous mindset was that we had a past golden age and we're going to degenerate into the future. So prior to that time, people really admired stability. They were suspicious of change because things were only going to get worse. In fact, we had no way to even become aware of the concept of progress as such until it started happening fast enough to be seen within a single lifetime. So when Western culture largely went secular and embraced science and technology and ever-accelerating change, we became detached from this sense of eternity and divinity that had always helped people cope with life's cruelties. And without these consolations, we were left to cope with the existential nightmare of being mortal beings in a godless world, mere accumulations of matter destined to decay with no higher purpose. The notion of progress filled the gap. We traded eternity for progress that we might still have a reason to strive and survive and not surrender to existential despair. Even today, we cling to the idea of progress as a way to make peace with our mortality, to feel like these limited lives of ours are still connected to some greater source of meaning, even in a secular world with no promise of immortality or an afterlife. However, progress, once it was sanctified as something unquestionably good, it became an excuse to decimate the natural world, to wipe out inferior civilizations, to replace culture with consumerism and convert humans into economic cogs that would generate the wealth and the innovations that would one day, somehow, bring about a better world for all. Progress thus became the hopeful veneer that we use to gloss over the atrocities and exploitations of colonial capitalism. And many of the innovations we even now claim as progress, and therefore unquestionably good, are not only dehumanizing, but active threats to our survival. What really makes the whole notion of progress under capitalism so oppressive, however, is that we're asked to place our hopes and dreams, our best lives, into an ever-receding future we can never hope to touch. Work hard, and you'll get the life of your dreams someday. But under this system, the wanting and the yearning are endless. Even when we get what we want has already moved. But we keep thinking we just might touch it. So we keep working and striving and chasing the lives that we're not actually living. On an individual level, progress drives us to think that we need to constantly improve, do more, be more, make more, have more. Even though all of this moreness has yet to lead us to the lives of meaning and happiness that are implied, that are promised by that. So as you can probably tell, this topic is fairly personal for me, and I do have very good reasons to be suspicious of the whole notion of progress and deferred happiness. See, when I was growing up, I was the smart kid in my class. Perfect grades, lots of awards, valedictorian, voted most likely to succeed. I had a science teacher tell me I'd win a Nobel, and then a literature teacher say the Pulitzer, and a superintendent who insisted I become the first Rhodes Scholar from our town. It's easy to look like a big fish if a sufficiently small pond, I suppose. My academic excellence was largely a trauma response, but that's a story for another time. The point is, my whole life was a story of the future, and the only value anybody saw in me was my potential, another word I've become skeptical of in time. It was all about work hard, prove your worth, earn your love and your belonging, make us proud. The truth was, I was a desperately lonely and depressed young man, but everyone's ideas of what I could or should be in the future made who I was right then completely invisible. And so I kept struggling and achieving and ignoring the pain on the promise that one day, after I'd achieved enough, all my efforts would manifest this perfect life of unbridled success and prosperity and fame. That did not happen. When I graduated high school and left home, instead of this promised life of opportunity and success, I found nothing waiting for me. No fame, no riches, not even a path to follow. That golden potential that I had poured my youth into turned out to be a lie. But bad habits are hard to kick, so are sunken cost fallacies, so I doubled down on good grades and collecting resume fodder, and also became an obsessive consumer of self-help books. I still clung to the idea that if I could fix my flaws, if I worked a little harder, if I did just all of the right things, if I could become perfect, then I would be worthy of love and success, and life would be good again. I would achieve my way to happiness and meaning. Again, this promise of a future golden age allowed me to ignore what was going on right then, and moreover allowed me to continue on with a pretty self-destructive way of living. So over the years, I have learned to be more present, and I've learned to not put off all my joy for someday. I still have plans and goals, but they're not the most important thing. I've gotten a little better at appreciating the journey instead of obsessing over the destination, like the child and the parent in our book today. However, even in the past few weeks, as we've been moving into our new home, I keep catching myself thinking, once we're all unpacked and everything's fixed up, then everything will be perfect. So instead of enjoying this process of building a new home for my family, I'm getting sucked into another story of the future. And then I find myself thinking, once we're all done moving in, then I can finally do all that writing that I've been putting off. And then, once I've done all that writing I've been putting off, then I'll have a book that I've written, then I'll have really done something with my life. And so on and so on. The thing with progress is it's never ending. You never arrive. The gold at the end of the rainbow is the obvious metaphor here. So maybe better to let the whole thing go. It's joy now or joy never. It's joy now or joy never. Or as Dave Matthews sings in the song Cry Freedom, the future is no place to place your better days. I read a story once about a man who was napping under a tree, hat pulled down over his face in the middle of the day. And a businessman who was passing by frowned and decided somebody needed to chastise this guy. How can you waste your day like this? Get up, go find a job. And the nappy man tipped his hat quizzically. Well, and then what? He asked. Well, then you would have money. You could afford a nice place to live and fill it with nice things. And then what? The sleepy man asked again, yawning. Well, then you could work toward a better job, and you could get a higher salary and more nice things. And then what? Well, then you could save up your money and invest it. Eventually, you wouldn't have to work at all. Well, and then what? Why, then you could do anything you want. Why, you could spend the whole day sleeping if you wanted to. The man under the tree smirked. What do you think I'm doing? And he pulled his hat back over his face and he went back to sleep. It's really easy to get into this habit of telling ourselves, once I have blank, then I can do blank. Once I become blank, then I'll have blank. It's just like me telling myself that once the house is complete, I'll write that book I've been putting off, or once I have that book, then my life will be complete. It's all procrastination and delay. We can live our real lives right here, right now. So, what's your delayed joy? What is your life unlived? What have you been putting off until someday? And, most importantly, what if today is the day you stop putting it off and finally begin? Please join me now in singing our closing hymn, The Ceaseless Flow of Endless Time. It's number 350 in the gray hymnal. And I know this is not one that we sing often or maybe ever or are familiar with, so hopefully Sam can guide us through the obstacles. So, Thank you, Sam.
Luckily, it's not that.
Yeah, not you. Please be seated. Our closing reading today is an excerpt from a book called Ending the Pursuit of Happiness by Barry Majid. The idea is that our need to fix or improve ourselves is itself what makes us suffer more than any actual flaws. Mental health is primarily to be found in accepting ourselves as we are. We are whole already. What we have, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually speaking, is all we need. It is the realization of no gain that allows us to revere each thing, each person, each moment as ends unto themselves, not as means towards some personal goal. With a zen of no gain, we step off the endless treadmill of self-improvement and instead experience the completeness of our life as it already is. May it be so. Please join me in singing our musical benediction, There is a Love. Now please join me in the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this chalice We don't need to wait until the time is right to live our best lives. We don't need to wait for someday. We can start right now. And we don't need to make progress to find meaning in the things we do. We just need to do them mindfully, savoring the process, and trusting the outcome to take care of itself. Joy is not something we achieve. It's what ensues when we forget about what we might achieve and engage the present moment with curiosity. So let's set aside our stories of the future and learn to delight in the lives we're living right now. I hope you'll now join us downstairs for coffee, and I hope to see you back next week. Though if that story of the future does not come to pass, it's okay. Thank you, and blessed be.